Hi, I'm Heidi Villegas. I am the teacher, the herbalist, the aromatherapist, the homesteader behind Healing Harvest Homestead. And it's really great to have you back here for our second video in the series, Ditch the Drugstore. I'm really excited that you're here. So in this particular video, we're going to go ahead and talk about two different kinds of preparations you can make, what they do, how easy they are, do a little cost analysis and see how inexpensive they are as well. And we're also going to go ahead and just kind of think about our own families for a moment and what it would look like to have a home pharmacy for your specific family. So if you missed yesterday's video, go back and rewatch it. We talked about why learning herbalism is so important for us. We looked at a number of different case studies of a couple of my students and what happened with one of my old 4th grade students, and just a little bit about me as well. And we also made an onion and honey cough syrup, which really works. And we talked about why it works. It's scientific. It's not woo-woo. All right. So yes, if you missed that video from yesterday, be sure you go back and watch it. So one of the problems I hear people having when they start working with herbs is that they think it's hard and they think it's could possibly be dangerous, and they might make a mistake. And one of the things I love to show and teach students is that number one, it's super easy, and number two, it's really hard to make a mistake. Like really it is. It's much easier to make a mistake with over-the-counter drugs, in my opinion, than it is with something natural and beautiful like a safe herb. And I'm not talking about dangerous herbs. I'm talking, because there's dangerous herbs out there. I'm talking about herbs that are extremely safe, that often you can go out and just pick in your yard. And you know, I know people look at me like, are you serious? Is that really true? Can that really happen? You can really make medicine with something you can pick in your yard? And my answer is yes, you can. The fact is that we've lost the knowledge. We've lost the old traditional knowledge of how to go about using the plants that God gave us in our world for our health and wellness. So my mission is, or one of my missions, is to bring this knowledge back to the people, to have an herbalist in every family. And I'm going to go on a rant now, so I better just stop because this is really important to me. It's so important to me. And I'm going to share a little bit more about my story so you can see why it's so important to me. So when I grew up, I'm a child of the 60s, okay? So you can tell I'm an older lady. I'm a grandma now, and I've got decades of years under my belt. But when I grew up, the pill mentality, which is what I call that thing that we've all grown up with, where you get sick, you go to the doctor, you get a pill. You get a pill to make it better really fast. Do you heal yourself? Who knows? But the fact is the body, our human bodies are incredibly amazing healers in and of themselves, and they know what to do. Our job is to support them in that healing process, not to take a pill to cover up a symptom. Although you can with herbs too. You can definitely start feeling better right away, which is amazing, and that's a sign that your body's healing. But anyway, when I grew up, I suffered from allergies. My mother would give me my allergy pill every single day. Later on as a teenager, I ended up with rosacea, which is a skin condition that's horrible. And I battled that for literally 2 decades and was on antibiotics almost 100% of the time for about 8-9 years, until a doctor told me that he was horrified when he found out how long I'd been on antibiotics from these different doctors that didn't bother asking me my health history. And he told me, well, your liver's probably shot. And as a young woman in my 30s, to hear that, it was horrible. So I battled rosacea. I had low disc problems in my lower back from an injury that I had sustained. And the doctor had me on Xanax, and as well as like narcotic pain relievers, which I couldn't take. So I was battling all these things. And then finally I ended up with a diagnosis of high blood pressure. And when I heard that, I asked the doctor, what can I do? And can I just do lifestyle changes? Can I watch my weight and, deal with stress and all that naturally and have it come down? He laughed in my face. This doctor literally laughed in my face. And I was so disappointed. he scared me badly enough that I went on the medicines, and he also wanted me to take a statin drug. I drew the line at the statin drug, but didn't take that, didn't go there. But I ended up with some really bad side effects. And so he gave me another pill to deal with the side effects. And that didn't work. And my blood pressure was still high. And I had gained 10 pounds. And so at that point, I just said, I drew the line in the sand and I said, I'm done with this. And I said no more to over-the-counter or prescription drugs. And at that point in time, I had already been studying herbalism for a while, and I was already convinced that it worked because I had felt the effects and had seen a lot of successes in my own life as well as others. And I said, okay, I'm just going to handle everything naturally from here on out. And that's kind of where I'm coming out with it. This was years ago, all this that happened. And since that time, my husband and I have not taken any over-the-counter or prescription drugs in over 10 years. There was another thing that happened too, I should say, that made me draw that line in the sand. And this happened long ago. But all these cumulative experiences kind of added up to make me a believer in herbs, and a believer in natural remedies, and a believer in taking control of my own health, and a believer in knowing what is going on in my own family and being able to help them as naturally as possible. But my youngest son, who was a football player, when he was 15, was going through a growth spurt. It was really, he's 6'3" now, but I swear that year he must have grown like, it was a huge amount. It was crazy. And his knees hurt all the time. And, you know, he had football practice. So his father and a doctor basically just said, take an over-the-counter pain reliever. And I'm not going to name the name of it, but he did. And I knew he was taking them, but I didn't really realize how often, and I didn't know that, you know, how often the doctor had said to take them. Well, he came to me and he said his stomach hurt. And I said, okay, you know, we tried to deal with it. And about a week later, he came to me again. He's like, Mom, I can't stand it. My stomach is really hurting. And so I took him to the doctor, and the doctor did an x-ray on his stomach and found an ulcer, a huge, huge ulcer. And they can tell what's causing the ulcer oftentimes by where it's located. And because of where it was located, the doctor said, you need to stay off of all over-the-counter pain relievers. And he asked about, you know, his use of the pain relievers, and my son basically told us how often he was taking them and when. And it really wasn't a whole, you know, like, it wasn't over the line even, the usage, but the fact was that it was consistent enough that it caused him to have an ulcer. And I just shook my head. I thought that there's something wrong with this. There really is something wrong with this, right? There's got to be a better way to deal with pain. There has to be a better way to deal with growing pains, and now I know that there are, and to deal with growth spurt issues and pains in your knees. And I wish I'd known what I know now back then. I would have had a much happier, healthier son at that time. So anyway, you guys, I just want to say that I have been able to heal myself of all kinds of things over the years that I dealt with prior to my learning how to use herbs. Things like insomnia, things like my back pain. My back pain and my sciatica is completely gone now. And I attribute that to the use of herbs, essential oils, and good posture, and some exercises. My high blood pressure, I have learned how to manage it naturally. You know, lifestyle changes, you guys, as well as different herbal remedies that I take every day, just help me keep it at a good point. Candida overgrowth. You know, when you take antibiotics a lot, especially for women, you end up with yeast infections. Because of my rosacea and the antibiotic use, I was dealing with yeast infections constantly, and I couldn't figure out why. I was a young woman, and nobody told me that taking antibiotics causes yeast infections. So I constantly had those, and yeah, it was just a terrible time chronic urinary tract infections. Being a school teacher, that's one of the jobs where you suffer with UTIs quite often unless you know what to do. And I didn't, because nobody teaches us that. What we're taught is to go to the doctor and, get a pill. and that didn't work for me. And it doesn't work for most people, to be honest. So now I've got my own home apothecary, and now I teach others how to work with herbs. And it's my biggest desire to teach others to build their own home apothecaries that they need. Okay? All right, I'm going to tell you about another friend of mine. Her name is Heather, and she started as a student with me a few years ago, and she's now progressed into high-level herbalism classes, but she started doing consultations for her community within about a year or so after she started studying, and she's been able to help a lot of people, including herself and her daughter and her family members with their issues as well. This is a big deal, you guys. This is a big deal. When you are able to help others with your skills and knowledge, it's so satisfying. It's just amazing. So in this video, we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at two different applications. And yesterday we saw one, the cough syrup, but today we're going to look at two. I'm going to talk about the herbs, and then the other one has to do with essential oils. And I believe that essential oils and herbs should work together much of the time. They're perfect complements for each other. And you can buy essential oils that are not expensive. We'll talk about that too. But I hear this a lot. People say that it's too expensive, or what if I fail? What if it doesn't work? What if I buy all these herbs and I waste the money? And I'm here to tell you that if you're concerned about that you can start small, and starting with your own home apothecary is a really great place to start. It really is. You're not trying to solve the ills of the world. You're trying to just work with your own specific family. So the first herbal remedy that we're going to talk about today is a decongestant. Okay, it's actually an anti-inflammatory for your sinuses. So I've got some items spread out all over the table here. So these are the things we're going to work with today. But I want to show you one of the first tinctures I ever made. And I'm so glad I did. So I told you years ago, I really, really struggled with allergies. And I've struggled with allergies my whole entire life. Up until I started using herbs, and consistently over a period of years, and literally my body healed itself of the allergies. I just don't really deal much with allergies anymore, but I make sure to have this tincture on hand at all times. When I first started using this tincture, I used to take it to work with me, and I used it when I needed it, just like I would used to carry around my aspirin or my nasal decongestant or my allergy pills. In this case, I could just use this when I needed it. It was so handy. And it only takes two herbs, mullein and marshmallow. Now, mullein happens to grow just about everywhere. This is a mullein leaf. It's a fresh one. And you can find these in pretty much every single ecosystem in the United States and Europe and all of North America. I'm serious. They just grow in wild places, in disturbed soils, and this is the queen of your respiratory system right here. It grows in our backyard. The other herb I like to use is marshmallow. This is marshmallow root, but marshmallow is a plant that has a lot of mucilage, which means it's kind of like a mucousy substance, but it's really moisturizing. And it is extremely helpful in combination with the mullein to relieve sinus inflammation. Now, when I first started making this tincture, I really didn't understand all of the phytochemistry and the science behind it, like I do now. But suffice to say that this simple, easy combination doesn't cost very much money. Marshmallow root's not expensive. Mullein, if you have to buy it, is not expensive at all. And all you need is a little bit of vodka 80 proof is fine. You can certainly use 100 proof if you want to. You'll hear out there in the herbal world all of these different proof recommendations for alcohol tinctures, and I'm just here to say 80 proof works about 90% of the time. So just know that. This is the tincture, what it looks like when it's finished, and this is a big half-gallon bottle. I have this tincture, I think I made this about 7-8 years ago, like literally it's that old. Tinctures will last for decades. They are preserved and they don't go bad. And so I just want to point out, like if I were to go to the store and buy a decongestant, I'd get a small amount, I'd pay a lot of money, I don't know, $7, $8, $9, $10, whatever they are now. I honestly have no idea how much they cost, but I'd pay a lot of money and then it would get used up and I'd have to go buy it again. The shelf life is short, usually about a year, possibly 2. And then you're out, right? And then you have to go back to the store and buy some more. Well, with this, it's been in our storeroom cupboard in my apothecary area for literally years. It's always accessible to us and it didn't cost very much to make, okay? It's just such a blessing. So let's go ahead and look at how to make this. I'm going to show you how quick and easy this is. So you need your mullein, and you want just a little bit. This is dried, crumbled mullein from what we harvested last year. And I'm just going to I'm using a very small jar. Because I don't need to make any more tincture. I have plenty on hand. So I'm just going to use a little jar for this and make a small amount. And there we go with the mullein. And I'm going to add an equal part of the marshmallow. I'm not using a measuring tool here, although I could, but roughly about the same amount. Okay. They're both quite fluffy herbs. And I'm going to fill the jar about halfway full. Pour in my vodka. All right. And then I would put a lid on this, give it a good shake, and then I would go ahead and set it aside in a slightly warm window near, or just on the countertop is fine. And I would shake it every single day for about 4 to 6 weeks. And at that point, you strain off the herb and you have your liquid left over, and that's what you bottle up like this, and then you can use it. So the nice thing about this is you can pour it into a dropper bottle. A dose is for an adult is 3 full droppers. And I do have information on my website about dosing for kids, so you can look at that. But that is how easy it is when you know how to make your own home apothecary. It's so easy and fast. You saw how long that took you guys, like literally seconds. I hear people say, I don't have time. I don't have time to do this. Well, I'm sorry, but guess what? Making this took me a fraction of the time it would have taken me to run to the store, look at the store shelves, try to figure out which one I wanted, pay for it, come back, and then use it, okay? So obviously this does take 4 to 6 weeks to process, but if you have it on hand like this, you're good to go, you have it. The other thing is that a lot of herbs like mullein and marshmallow, you can make a tea of. So if you don't have your tincture ready, like this, then you can certainly just make up a cup of tea or a quart of tea and sip on it throughout the day, and you would be amazed what that does for your allergy issues and your sinus congestion. All right, so that's one of the remedies, and you can see cost-wise, super cheap, time-wise, super fast. The only thing that's missing is the knowledge, right? That's all that's missing. So now, let's go ahead and take a look at essential oils. So yesterday we worked with 2 common kitchen herbs, honey and onion, for our cough syrup. And today we worked with 2 wild weeds, mullein and marshmallow, to make an alcohol tincture, which, by the way, you could also make a glycerite if you don't want to use alcohol for some reason, and many people don't. Making a glycerite with vegetable glycerin is just fine. You can also tincture in vinegar, which I do quite often. One of my clients, I make a sleep aid for him, and he likes it in vinegar. So that's what we do, and it works great. He loves it. So what we're gonna do right now is just talk a little bit about using essential oils with herbs. This little blend that I'm going to show you is a really wonderful blend for cleaning the air and boosting the immune system, and also just helping keep the microbes down in an environment, in a bedroom or a living room. So if somebody's sick in your home, you can diffuse this in a diffuser. I'm going to turn it into a spray, and you can see how quick and easy this is too. All right, so I've got 4 essential oils here, and they all are super helpful. So I'm going to talk specifically to adults and then to kids. So one of the essential oils here is lemon. Lemon has compounds in it, limonene specifically, that boost the white cell count in our blood, which is part of our immune system. So lemon essential oil and lemons in general are really helpful for immune boosting. I'm going to put 4 drops of the lemon essential oil in this little bottle. Set it aside. This is a 2-ounce bottle with a spray top. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 2 drops of lemongrass. Lemongrass has 2 compounds, nerol and geraniol, that together form citral. And you don't need to remember all this chemistry. The reason I'm telling you this is because I want you to understand that there's no woo-woo magic in using plant medicine. It literally goes back to the synergy and the chemicals that are in the plants and how you use them together. So just wanted to put that out there. So I'm not trying to make this sound all important or anything. It's just that it's really nice. You don't even need to know this, but it's nice when you understand that there are scientific reasons behind it. And then I've got sweet marjoram. If a person is experiencing allergy symptoms with the stuffy nose, the inflammation, sweet marjoram I like to use because it is relaxing. It's an antispasmodic, and combined with the powerhouses here, it just helps a person relax a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and add 4 drops of my sweet marjoram, if I can get it to come out here. Sometimes they're a little stubborn. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some thyme. Now, thyme is wonderful. The typical thyme essential oil that you'll buy is just plain old Thymus vulgaris, and it has a compound called thymol in it. In high amounts, and thymol is extremely antimicrobial and wonderful for cleaning the air and helping people stay well. This particular thyme has thymol in it too, but it's more high in a chemical called linalool. And linalool, like the sweet marjoram, is relaxing. So this one's doing double duty. And here I'm going to go ahead and add 3 drops, maybe 4, of the thymol CT linalool. All right. And what you have here with this scent, if scent's important to you, and it should be, is you've got a really green, herbaceous, refreshing, kind of citrusy overtone scent. So it's really pretty too. You could also put these in a diffuser, but we're going to go ahead and make a spray. A spray you can carry around with you and spritz it in the air, and even spritz it, let it land gently on your furniture, and it's wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and add in about a tablespoon of vodka. Again, I'm not really measuring. I've made enough of these to be able to kind of tell how much a tablespoon of vodka is. And then you just mix them together. The essential oils solubilize, which means disperse, to an extent in the vodka, but not greatly. And I'm not using a solubilizer, which makes the essential oils disperse completely because it's very expensive and if you remember to shake your spray, which most people do because you can see the essential oil sitting on top, then you don't have to worry about it. Then I'm going to go ahead and fill up the water to the shoulder. And there I've got my spray. Put my lid on. By the way, always label your items and keep them out of the reach of kids. Shake this really well. It's beautiful. All right, so what we made today was we made a wonderful tincture for sinus congestion. You can see this is already starting to extract the chemicals from the plant because it's turning colors. And we made a lovely room spray, or I gave you a recipe that will work in a diffuser blend for a diffuser that will clean the air in your home and help prevent illness in the first place. And if you can prevent illness in the first place, that is, to me, the best thing, right? All right, so as we wrap up this video number 2, I just want to say one more thing. When I first started using herbs years ago, I was really random about the things I was trying, and I bought all these herbs that I didn't need, and I had all these preparations that I didn't need, and I was so excited about it, and I wasted a lot of money, and I didn't need to do that, but I didn't know that back then. What we're going to work on tomorrow is, how do you decide what you need to buy? How do you decide what you need to make for your specific individual family? Because we're all different. Some of us only have 2 family members. Some of us have 8. We're all different. So tomorrow we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. And I'm going to show you a plan so that you can have a plan for making your own home pharmacy and getting it started. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a comment below. I'd love to know your questions, your comments. In fact, tell me what your most pressing need is, or what would you want most in your home apothecary. I would love to know which herbal preparations or essential oil preparations, what kinds of things you would want to have handled for your family. All right, I'll talk with you in the next video. Have a great day.